Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 7, old business. Item A, public hearing. Consideration of ordinance number 702-19, an ordinance rezoning certain property referred generally as the village development for commercial C3 and residential R3 to planned unit development for residential R2 and R3, commercial C1, and open space uses. Second reading. I will open the public hearing and hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. This item is an application for a rezoning of the property located northeast of the corner of 37th Street and 47th Avenue. The rezoning would be from R3 to planned use development with open space uses, and from C3 to residential, both R2 and R3, and commercial C1 uses. This change of zone is needed to allow for townhomes, multifamily, and commercial development at a different scale on this property. The change of zone is also needed to allow Tract O to remain an open space use that could benefit at least this property, but also potentially the neighborhood in the city of Evans. This item was also heard for first reading. This change of zone application and ordinance was heard for first reading at your July 2nd meeting. The staff is prepared with a presentation of the item if council would like to hear it. I know the applicant is also present if questions are desired to be answered. I will mention that just one process reminder, this application did go to your Planning Commission on June 25th, 2019. The Planning Commission declined to make or pass a motion, so it wasn't, the application was not denied, nor was it approved and forwarded to you. So your consideration has been without the benefit of that, of a Planning Commission recommendation. Nevertheless, we have this for you tonight, and staff will be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Jim. The applicant is here. Does he have anything they'd like to add from the last meeting?
My name is David Jansen, one of the owners. Partner Gary Norrie. The only reason I really wanted to come in front of you, both as the city mayor and city council, is to provide to you some sincere appreciation for your time and effort in hearing our request for rezoning. When the city of Evans hired Katie Press, your own consultant, to do a study on commercial property zoned in the city of Evans, that finding became available to us, and it confirmed with what our belief and our review of our property was, that it was really non-viable commercial property. And so we have, with that information, really became relevant to accelerate our process to convert it to something that fit the city's needs, and the analysis supported what we then submitted as our PUD. So it's a relief to join the city of Evans in having a project that fits not only the city's interest and needs, but in our opinion, a property that I think you will all be proud of at the corner of 37th and 47th. So with that, I just wanted to say I thank you for your time and effort and your interest in pursuing this. And it's, I also wanted to thank the planning department and the city manager for their time and effort. So with that, if you have any questions for me and my partner or my team, we'd be happy to entertain them now or in the future. But thank you very much.
Thank you very
Any
much.
questions?
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in support or opposition to this issue? Seeing none, does council have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I just have a question. Nothing has changed since the previous meeting?
You're correct.
Okay.
Nothing has changed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant or staff?
I have none.
I will close the public hearing. Council discussion?
I'm still in support of this, since nothing has changed since the last time we met on this. A lot of the questions that I had for last meeting, Councilmember Council asked, and I still believe that the applicant meant the intent, and I still support the approval of rezoning.
I echo that as well, but I also want to say that it's nice to hear that the study that Katie Press created or generated added value to the property owners, and it gave relevance to your property, because it's nice also to know that money that we also invested to create these types of studies are also being utilized by developers to also develop their lands. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Other comments?
Sorry. Thank you, Fred. I just wanted to address a little bit of what Jim spoke of. So, at the last meeting, I know it was brought up that this was brought to Planning Commission, and there was some thought from people that spoke against the issue that not opining meant no. But what I'd like for people to understand is voting clearly works both ways, right? So you can have a yes, or you could have a no vote. Planning Commission chose not to opine on it. And I really went back through and scrubbed through their minutes and the documentation that we looked through, again, noting that the primary reason for not voting was because there was too much public concern for the issue. The one member who said they would vote and would vote in favor stated that they felt like the applicant had met all the criteria. So by not opining, it came to City Council, and our job then became to do exactly what we're supposed to do and look at it and say, does it meet the criteria? Once again, going back through the minutes, the primary concern that residents brought up was twofold. First and foremost, an increase in traffic, but secondly, and really tied to that increase in traffic, an increase in habitants living there really in this multifamily complex. So concerns over the multifamily complex. What I appreciate staff clarifying at the last meeting and really reviewing the Planning Commission minutes, the same there, was that the way it's currently zoned, it could still be multifamily at that point. So when you looked at it, they did a great job. Randy did an excellent job at Planning Commission stating if it's going to be a no, you need to give us a reason. And at that point, one of the commissioners said, well, the reason should be need. But I would strongly disagree upon further reflection, because really the concerns that they have over need would still be there today. And in fact, we're scaling that back and saying the whole thing can't be multifamily. It could be single family, these duplexes, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to clarify that and add that one more time. I appreciate the work of staff and everybody involved. I appreciate residents coming, and I hope that they understand the vote, but I'm still in favor.
While I agree that this corner is probably not a fit operation for a large chain supermarket to anchor, I disagree that it's totally without retail merit, and I will be voting no.
Just one last final comment. I want to say that no matter what type of development comes in Evans, whether it's multifamily, single-family, apartments, condos, they are all contributing members to the city, and we value their, living here and choosing Evans to live. I know some concerns was, about pride and ownership. I want to reiterate, it doesn't matter if you rent, own, or what, you always contribute to the city of Evans if you live here.
Thank you. Right.
And it, like, again, it adds to the diversity and allows for, people from different economic backgrounds to be able to acquire also a place, whether it's single family, a rental space. They're able at least to utilize that if it's like a rental space as a starting point to eventually owning. So I think most have been there where we started there and then eventually became homeowners. So we need all types of housing here to accommodate our residents.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think it's a great project. I do think they met all the criteria, and I'm excited to see it. So, if there are no other comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I must recuse myself from this for reasons previously stated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I move to approve ordinance number 702-19 on second reading as proposed with the conditions of approval.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 702-19 on second reading as proposed with the conditions of approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you, guys. Next item, item B, public hearing consideration of ordinance number, here we go. Forgot about this one from last time. 701-19, an ordinance adopting by reference the International Building Code 2018 edition, the International Residential Code 2018 edition, the International Fuel Gas Code 2018 edition, the International Plumbing Code 2018 edition, the International Mechanical Code 2018 edition, the International Existing Building Code 2018 edition, the International Property Maintenance Code 2018 edition, the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code 2018 edition, and the International Energy Conservation Code 2012 edition by the International Code Council second reading. Public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing and hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. At Council's July 2nd meeting, you heard a detailed presentation of the updated building codes sections that you just outlined in the title of this item. I'll remind council that the last time we updated the building code was May 2017, and at that time we updated the 2012 edition of the International Building Code and the other building related codes along with the 2009 edition of the Energy Code. So I think these building code updates are being adopted across northern Colorado, and we're coming into, I think, what is the new standard for building code. I'll mention that since the first reading of the ordinance, we did have some further communication from the fire chief. You have at the dais, I'll point out for the council and for the record, an updated staff report and ordinance that recommends several more exceptions to the building code. And those are generally all related to the types of fire sprinkler heads that will be allowed, mostly in townhomes and multifamily developments. So these are very technical exceptions, certainly not diminishing them, but we can certainly provide more detail on them if council would like. But we have updated the ordinance before you for second reading to include those additional exemptions. And in consultation with our city attorney, we are recommending to you that they are not substantive changes to the ordinance. So we're good for consideration of second reading this evening. With that concludes our general remarks, unless the council would like to have more presentation on the building code.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in support or opposition to this issue? Seeing none, does council have any questions of staff or our expert?
I just want to make one note, and certainly to reintroduce you to Caleb Solzin, who's our chief building official, doing a great job in their extraordinary circumstances this summer. They're staying very busy. But one other update since first reading, we did have host a meeting of the building community, sent out notices to everyone known to construct reconstruct or remodel homes in the Evans area, attended by 14 members of the building community. Caleb did a nice job of walking through the changes, kind of why they were there and what happened, or what will be happening in the timeline. And so you can rest assured that a significant portion of the building community heard it there, and will continue that public outreach with this 3-month phase-in period that we have here. So.
Thank you. Questions of staff?
I'm just curious as to what the sprinkler modifications, is it just the size of the head or the materials or?
It's actually the type of sprinkler system used. In the residential code, it allows for it's essentially part of the plumbing system, but it's sprinkler heads that would be tapped off of the main house plumbing and not a full separate sprinkler system. And so it's not using steel pipe, it's using plastic pipe. It's using the same lines that are supplying water to your sinks and your showers. And because it's not meeting the same standards as a full separate sprinkler system, the fire department has experienced issues with that plastic piping melting in fires and not delivering water, and other issues that have come up, as far as with the maintenance and the protection within floor systems. So they had asked that we remove that and just require it to be a full separate, which is NFPA 13R or a 13D, which is either a residential design or a commercial design based on the application, and require a full separate system not tied into the house plumbing. They still did allow for that. We talked about the 3 alternatives when you have your furnace room enclosed in the basement. They would allow for that single head to be off of the house plumbing for that furnace room only, but not when you're supplying a full house system. And since we had included in the code the amendments to where it would still be required to have fire sprinklers in townhomes and obviously multifamily because that's a commercial building, but not in duplexes or single family homes. Some of those exceptions that were removed were saying that if you did sprinkle the house, you could remove other elements. So there was a few that we had not removed in the initial ones that the fire chief asked us to go ahead and remove with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? None, I'll close the public hearing. Council discussion.
I'm in support of it as I was last time.
Excuse me. Seeing no other discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 701-19 as amended on second reading.
I second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 701-19 as amended on second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you again for being here again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb.
Next item, item 8, new business. Item A, public hearing, consideration of ordinance number 704-19, an ordinance approving an oil and gas lease of certain city of Evans property with SRC Energy. I will open the public hearing and hear from staff.
Thank you, Mayor. The city currently has a lease agreement with SRC Energy Incorporated for oil and gas beneath 51, almost 52 acres of Riverside Park that's been in effect since 1993. There are provisions of that agreement that are now antiquated by today's operational technology, and SRC had requested that we consider an update of that lease. Council held an executive session on this matter probably 2 months ago and provided direction to staff regarding negotiations with SRC. Since then, Assistant City Manager Randy Reedy has finalized the negotiations, and we have an agreement and an ordinance consistent with your direction for your consideration this evening. I will ask Randy to summarize the agreement and some of the options that we had, and I'll mention before he starts that we also heard some direction from council to bring back some options when it's time to use this money to potentially benefit that part of town and the park area. So if there's any change to that direction, please let us know, but that would be our intent. And I'll ask Assistant Manager Reedy to summarize more details of the agreement.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and council members. The terms of the agreement before you are basically as we discussed last month. The formal agreement is attached along with the upfront cash payment terms. Did accept your direction, and this lease is for an 18.75% royalty for anything that's actually produced from this pool, and the $5,000 per acre signing bonus. There were other options available, but that was our recommendation, and that's what council directed, and that's what we're proceeding with. The signing bonus will be paid, of course, up front. The royalty will be paid if and when, or as there is production from this pool. There's no new drilling that will be done on the park property. The existing wells are from adjacent properties. They're mostly vertical wells, kind of directional wells. However, plans call for horizontal drilling that will tap into this pool. Recent years before the current wells were shut in, we're producing about between $500 and $500 a year in revenue, really nominal revenue for the city. But we believe, and SRC has indicated that they believe in the next few years, as horizontal wells get drilled, that royalty could increase substantially. It is subject to that new horizontal drilling, but again, no facilities on the park itself. So that concludes my presentation. Like I say, it is as we discussed with council last month. SRC has been good to work with and provided the kind of traditional paid-up oil and gas lease that is in use throughout the industry, and the signing bonus as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in support of this issue? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in opposition of this issue? Seeing none. Council, questions for staff?
What was the term of this lease?
It's 33 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I will close the public hearing. Council discussion.
I'm still in support of it as we discussed at our work session when we talked about this, so my position has not changed.
Same here, my position has not changed. I'm still for it.
Any other discussion? I'm absolutely in favor for it. SRC is a good company, and they do good work within the city of Evans, and I think it's a fair deal for both sides, so I'm all for it. With no other discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 704-19 on first reading to authorize the mayor's signature on a lease agreement with SRC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 704-19 on first reading and authorize the mayor's signature on a lease agreement with SRC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Randy. Item 9, report, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. We don't often get to highlight the work of our clerk, so I'll embarrass Karen and just mention that she attended some intensive training this week, the Colorado Municipal Clerks Institute, which is, as I said, an intensive program. I believe it's the first of 3 installments along her way to some municipal clerk certification. Learned a lot, it sounds like, on a wide range of topics, from elections to liquor licensing to lots of other areas that the clerks work in that are very important to administration of our city. So I congratulate her for that, and we look forward to new ideas coming our way. So, good work there. And finally, I'll just remind council and also for the public that your next council meeting your next regular meeting will be on August 5th, which is a Monday, to allow for full participation in National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th. So if a couple council members may not have been part of that in the past, we'll have more information to you shortly. We'll do some organization to make sure that the council members can cover their wards in the cities as best as they can to get out and kind of celebrate the neighborhoods, and also partner with our police to put out some good message about Evans on National Night Out. That's all I have today, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jim. City attorney.
Just a couple items. We're continuing to work on a variety of development agreements with staff, and those seem to be progressing well. We also have spent quite a bit of time on the EQR case. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. And then finally, we are beginning the search in cooperation with the city manager for a new assistant city attorney.
And I will just say real quick on the record, thank you to your law firm for Dan. It was fantastic to be here, and we wish him nothing but the best.
Sure, yeah.
Next item on the agenda is audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address city council on any item? Thank you for being here. Seeing none, take a motion to go into executive session.
I move to go into an executive session to receive legal advice and to discuss matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators involving the city's pending litigation with Advantage Bank pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Section B and subsection E.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes. Thank you all for being here tonight. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.